This is the Aflac Insurance New York Yankee Show, highlighting the biggest names in Yankees history. Brought to you by SummitCars.com. Broadcasting in the ESPN studios. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
All right, here we are, New York Yankee Show. Thanks for joining us here. Our good friend, Mr. Pete Caldera. Pete, what's going on?
How you doing, Mike?
You're not as fired up as me this morning with this music. Look at this.
Yeah, well, still haven't had my coffee yet.
This is a far cry from Frank.
Watching this team will bring it down, I'll tell you that.
I know. Get us up to speed on the whole COVID and the postpone with the Sox the other day. What happened there?
Well, what happened is they probably had the worst All-Star break in Major League history. Yeah. I mean, it seems like only the Yankees this year.
Don't you want the cleanest, purest, most refreshing?
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
You want to play commercial now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a Sinatra song, but that didn't work. So
yeah, I mean, it seems like only the Yankees look. They can turn some positives into negatives. I mean, they win their last two series going into the break, but lose. They can't complete the sweep against Seattle, and then they lose just a devastating game against the Astros in Houston after probably winning their most inspiring game of the year. And then they Loizaga right before that series ended in Houston. Was put on the COVID health and protocols list, and that takes a big reliever out of your mix, especially with Chapman going as badly as he is. And then they come out of the break, and you find out that 5 more guys, including Aaron Judge and Gio Urshela, are on that list now, and not to mention somehow Luke Voit, in the 3 or 4 days off, comes up with an inflamed left knee. And you're putting half a skeleton lineup out there against the Boston Red Sox at the most critical time of your year. This is not, to quote the last manager that was in that office, not what you want.
You mentioned obviously the series wins over the Mariners and the Astros. Talk also, though, I guess, about the trade deadline approaching and what that means for the Yankees and what we can see or what we should see, or what do you think we're going to see?
Well, I think they got to take a really hard look at their own, situation as they come out of this weekend. I don't think. Listen, the way they're going now, the way it's trending, the way they've. The injury situation, the COVID situation, the fact that they have 3 teams ahead of them in their own division now. I mean, it's all pointing in one direction, and that's you should be sellers, and you're not going to salvage this. So make the best out of it. The question then is, what do you have to sell? I mean, one of your best assets as a selling point probably was Aroldis Chapman. This is an extremely distressed asset at this point. So, and then Luke Voit or guys like that, possibly Gio Urshela. I don't know. There are guys that you would think that they could move, but what are they worth now? I think you also have to take a deeper internal look at your own system, your own philosophy now, and like what are we doing going forward? Is Luke Voit our first baseman going forward, or can we get a better option there? Is Gleyber Torres our best option at shortstop? Is he better off at second base? And what do you do there? You're locked into DJ LeMahieu now. He's not going anywhere, obviously, and you've got pitching, in the lower to middle levels of your minor leagues that, you thought could bring back someone who could help you for the second half or pennant drive. But that was designed to help a Yankee team, that was going great guns and maybe needed, 1 or 2 pieces to put them over the top. This team needs a complete overhaul the way it stands now. So those trades aren't coming, I think they need to look at what they can do to improve themselves for 2022 and beyond.
Talking to Pete Caldera, Bergen Record, USA Today Yankees beat writer. Aaron Judge, what's your opinion there? What are your thoughts there? And obviously, Yankees as sellers is true. How would you? What's the right price, or what's the right return for someone like that?
For Judge?
Yep.
Well, I don't think listen, if you were even seriously considering trading him, and I don't see why they would be at this point, you're not going to get any kind of equal value, I think, in the middle of a season. I mean, that would be something for the off season where they'd have to, consider, what a broader, a broader pool of teams, and then just canvas, just a broader area there, and really sit down and have a full philosophical, organizational discussion about where we're going. If they were even considering moving a guy like Judge, I'm not saying it's completely off the table. And Brian Cashman has always said that they do. They think out every scenario, and there's no untouchables, and that they want to do anything they can to improve the club wherever they can, and that I'm always looking for the guy who's better than you, who can make us better. So in that sense, and the other part of that is they're gonna have to pay him. Yep. And I mean, that shouldn't be an issue for the Yankees, but they've saddled themselves with Stanton's contract, and that is pretty much immovable. I mean, I would first look to see if there's any scenario where they could get some relief from that, not only that contract, but that position. I mean, that makes them so inflexible when they've got a guy just stuck in a DH spot that, on a team that's not really, producing or designed to have one guy there. They need to give Judge and Sanchez breaks at DH occasionally. So I think that's all part of it. But that, I think, a Judge or even a Stanton conversation obviously would be for the offseason. How
about, obviously pitching, you've talked a lot so far about this team in terms of trades or things that need to happen, or just an complete overhaul. You look at kind of the left-handed batter situation. Is that an absolute must? Get somebody like that, a hitter, and could it even be more important than pitching?
Well, it's certainly important, but you look where they've, where they have their players that are, kind of cemented in there. That, right? They're gonna. This team needs help across the board, but yeah, I mean, being a little better left-handed balance in that lineup would certainly be something that they should be looking to do. But they were depending on Hicks again. He gets hurt. That's a switch hitter, so that's a left-hand batter that would have been in your lineup now. I think you got to look at at first base, and if you trade Voit, try to get a left-handed hitter into there. I think that's that's a place where you can do it. We don't know really what the future of left field is at Yankee Stadium right now, or even center field. You're going to get Hicks back in 22. You would assume. And then what do you do in left field? I think that's another place where you could find possibly find a left-handed bat, but other than that, they're pretty locked into what they have.
Let's try to talk something positive. The Yankees won the series from Houston due to Cole's masterpiece. Talk about where that ranks among some of the great pitching performances you've seen.
That was electric. Being in that ballpark and watching that, and that was something else, because you knew where this was going. I mean, just knowing how unreliable and taxed the bullpen was, the Yankees' bullpen was, you knew that they wanted Cole to go as deep as he could, and the way the game plays out, you get the one run on the home run by Judge, and now it's just Cole out there, and even when he comes out in the ninth inning, you really weren't sure. I was thinking he would come out for the ninth, but you weren't sure how long he was going to go, because he's already heading towards 120 pitches at that point. And then he gives up a base hit to start that ninth inning. And when Boone came out there, I mean, just to, if you were, kind of a fly on the chest protector of Kyle Higashioka there to hear what was going on. I mean, I think he could read some lips there too, and imagine what that one-sided conversation was like. But that was all part of it. And then he comes back and ends the game on a strikeout in his last pitch, 129th pitch is 99 miles an hour. That was about as electric a performance in the regular season as you're going to see.
Given all the players who did skip the All-Star game, what would be the best way to improve their chances of showing up in 2022 in Los Angeles?
I don't know how old you are. I'm at an age where I was, when I was growing up watching the All-Star game in the late 70s and early 80s, it was so much fun because you didn't see. I mean, I was a Mets fan. I was a National League fan. I didn't see a lot of the American League stars. There wasn't, you weren't. It was if you watched This Week in Baseball, that was your big highlight show. It wasn't. You didn't have the highlights every day, and there was no talk radio. So, you just didn't have that kind of coverage then. So the All-Star game was exciting. It was thrilling, and being a Mets fan for me. My team never won. They were lousy, so I knew I could. And the National League was always so good.
Gary
so
Carter,
I knew
the whole crew there.
I could root for. Yeah, John Stearns and Lee Mazzilli were going to be in the All-Star game, and the National League would probably win it. And that was my big highlight for the summer. And I was locked in. Now it's become something different too. I think it's even though in those days you might see a starter go 3 innings. Yeah. The players are such, these are millions and millions of dollars worth of assets out there playing in an exhibition game, and every team, I think, dreads, having a guy, especially a pitcher, go out there on 2 days rest or 3 days rest or whatever, and get hurt or something like that. I think that's in the back of every organization's mind. I don't think it's I think we may be trending to a point here where you just name an all-star team and just don't play a game and just have, so they can get their bonuses or something like that. As an exhibition, the home run derby is fun, and I guess the game is, it's as close to a regular game as any all-star game is. It's been said before, but it's trending the other way, I think.
No, I completely agree, and it's too bad. I'm similar. Grew up with that and loved the all-star game, and the guys used to really compete. The camaraderie, it was fun. I mean, the whole thing was pretty amazing, but it's completely trended down now.
Yeah, and the National League wanted to win. I mean, they get pep talks from the Chubb Feeney, the league president. Yeah, we got to win this game. We got to prove we're better than them.
That never not the case anymore. Just too much money.
No,
too much money. Too many games. I mean, they're playing way too many games. I mean, guys, everything is counted. Everything is calibrated. Everything is measured. I mean, it's
and they've also blurred the distinctions between the leagues now, since interleague play and all that stuff, where there really isn't any league affiliation as much as there used to be.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Listen, I bring my son out and we watch the Syracuse Mets here. We have a blast. It's a great organization. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a not a ton of people come out, but it's just nice. I mean, we kind of have the place to ourselves. It's pretty amazing. So you look at the farm systems and bringing guys up. I'm not going to pretend that I know the guys in the Yankee farm system as well as I think I should. Anybody that you could even point out that can make any sort of impact or we could see relatively soon, or no?
Well, you've seen a lot of them now.
Yeah,
they just came up, guys that they hadn't called up before, Park and Ambergy, and but I don't know if they're the answer at any particular position. The guys that they're really excited about are, it starts with Jason Dominguez, 18 years old, who's in his first 4 games since he was promoted to low A Tampa. He hit his first home run yesterday. He's hitting about .438. I mean, this is 4 games, but I think they're extremely excited about him. But you're still looking at a guy with a big league ETA of at least 2 years. I mean, that's if he comes up at age 20. 3 years of for 21. If he comes up as as quickly as a guy like Gleyber Torres did. But they have some middle infield prospects, shortstops, and pitchers, but Double A and the guys at Triple A. Listen, if they felt they could help them, they probably would have been here, and they weren't. So I think that tells you a lot about at least what they feel that they have at the upper level of their system. That that these guys still either they're not prospects, or the guys below them just need more time to develop to help them. They certainly are in a better position now in their prospect pool than they probably have been in recent years. But they've also tended to, and the media has helped in this area too, blow up some of their guys. Listen, I think, there wasn't any of us who didn't write Cashman's quote about Clint Frazier's legendary bat speed, and that hasn't. I mean, and at this point, it's been a legendary. It's going the other way. And the injuries haven't helped. Listen, the concussion issue, that serious stuff, and whatever he's going through now, it seems to be a vision issue now, and it's hard to really get a feel on it because they haven't really told us much more other than he's going through a battery of tests, but he's okay. But this is a guy that you anticipated was going to lead the next charge. He's going to be, a 25 homer hitting, 285 hitting outfielder at the least, and give you at least adequate defense in a corner spot, and be a factor somewhere in that lineup. And it just hasn't happened. And this guy's been in their organization for 5 years now. So it's that type of thing that kind of just sends the rock down the other side of the hill.
Great, Pete Caldera, terrific insight, Pete. We always appreciate it, and all of our viewers our listeners can check you out here. So we really appreciate it. Thanks, Pete.
Anytime, Mike. Thank you.
Peter Caldera, ladies and gentlemen, here on the New York Yankees Show. We'll be right back. Steve Grilli on deck.
This is the Aflac Insurance New York Yankee Show, highlighting the biggest names in Yankees history. Brought to you by SummitCars.com. Broadcasting in the ESPN studios. Here's your host, Mike Bristol.
Stevie, what's going on, pal? The great Steve Grilli. What's going on?
Good morning. This rain has been depressing, especially as it approaches a weekend. I mean, people have plans as well as, want to get outside and do some things, but the rain is holding things off here.
Did you ever think you would see a player with that two-way impact on the plate and on the mound, as we saw here? Ohtani. What do you
He's fun to watch, I have to say that. And we were watching the All-Star games. My wife looked at him for the first time, really, and she's like, "Oh my God, he's huge!"
Boy, oh boy! And what put on a show at the Home Run Derby, right?
Yeah. I think they were a little disappointed, but that poor guy. I mean, he was tired. You could see the effect it had on him. He was doubled over, and then he had to go out and pitch. But something I just recently read about him that I really enjoyed seeing, for participating in the Derby, each player gets $150,000.
I'll take it.
He went back to the Angels and distributed amongst the workers around the stadium.
How classy is that?
Yeah, that's classy. I mean,
come on.
Yeah, I just read that, and I put a smile on my face to see somebody kind of like paying it forward like that.
I love it. All the guys should do. I think that's amazing. What's the All-Star game now? Pete and I were just talking about it, and when I was a kid, I loved it, looked forward to it. It was competitive. The guys wanted to win, and now it's just different. I mean, Home Run Derby is still fun, but the All-Star game and guys skipping, guys wanting to not get hurt and worrying about their contracts and their millions and millions. It's just different. It's just like what Pete was saying. I wonder if it's almost going to come down to let's name who the All-Stars are, but they're not going to actually have a game.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game. I'm an American League fan, even though I root for the Mets. We're going up in Long Island, but I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. There's a couple of things that I would say are not good. The miking up these guys right in the middle of pitches. Guys are at bat and they're talking in their ear. Same thing. Yeah. I find that distracting. So if you want to really get down to the nitty gritty, let them play the game. And
Watch it.
And watch it. You're right about the guys bowing out of it. It was a prestigious thing. I mean, I grew up in the '60s and the '70s. And that's where I fell in love with the game. And to see all the different things that they're doing to it, I have issue with it. How
about the controversy too? I mean, moving the game from Atlanta to Denver, there was some serious controversy there.
Right, and what went along with it, there was a commercial put out by the Conservative Party, and it kind of really, pointing to what was wrong with what they did. And you're right about that. There's too much politics involved in it. Let the guys play, let them enjoy, and it definitely is a worldwide game now. I mean, the starting pitcher for the American League was from Japan, and the closer was from Australia. So, and speaking of the mic up, the closer for the White Sox, that Hendricks guy, he didn't realize that his mic was on, and his language was very little. I would say very much colorful. What was said while he was on the mound, and these guys are competing, and they don't want to make embarrassing situations for themselves. And this led to an embarrassing situation for him.
I know. Blake and I were just at the Mets game. What day did we go? We went on Wednesday last week, and obviously watching Rochester Red Wings. Are there players right now on that team that can help the Mets here in the NL East down the stretch, or is that not necessarily going to happen?
Well, the way they played these last two games, they played 12 runs and 15 runs. Yeah. I missed you by a day. I was out there Thursday night. Kathy had never. My wife Kathy, my lovely wife Kathy, had never seen the renovation of the ballpark. I had seen a number of times, but she was so impressed. And I just wanted to give her a preliminary tour before August 1st. Jason, my son, is getting inducted into the Wall of Fame alongside Dad.
Love it. And, love it.
It's going to be a fun day for our family. Got family coming in from out of town, and they're giving away a bobblehead, Mike, of Jason in his Beeville Bees uniform.
You make sure Blake and we'll come out. I mean, we'll come out and support that, be there, all that kind of stuff. Just give me a reminder, and plus we'll obviously talk about it a few more times here on the radio. But that's congratulations to both you guys, and I love that there's going to be a bobblehead. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now we're talking about the Yankees. They're in trouble, Mike.
I don't even know what else. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, a complete overhaul from the top down.
Well, they got hit with the COVID. They're playing. They can make up some ground. They had. They're playing head-to-head with the Red Sox, who's, of course, leading the American League East. Had they, taken quite a few games, they could have cut that deficit down, and now the trade line is coming, and the Cubs are putting up a lot of key players that could help the Yankees during this rough time between injuries, between the COVID, between guys like Stanton running cold. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going. Chapman having his difficulties with pitching in the ninth inning. They've got to do something. So it's going to be interesting, if not anything else, to see just where the Yankees go from here. Because, like I said, Rizzo and Bryant and a lot of those Cubs, they've already. Jock Peterson was just traded to the. Geez, who did he get traded to?
I was just mentioning, not to cut you up, but I was just mentioning to Pete. And I this is a quick thought before we take a commercial break. I want to talk to you. Cole's pitching performance. And that 9 innings, throwing 99 that last pitch. I mean, Pete was talking about how electrifying it was at the stadium. But for a former pitcher, Jason being a pitcher, that performance, you guys had to be among some of the top you've seen.
Yes, a complete game in this day and era. Right. 129 pitches again in this day and era is unseen. But I've been around him when he was with the Pirates, when Jason was there. And he is a competitor personified. And even back then in his rookie year, he was taken out after 5 innings because they were taking care of him as a young rookie in his first game. He was in the locker room throwing a tantrum for being taken out. So you can go back to and I saw it with my own eyes. He was ready to. If Clint Hurdle came in while he was during this race, I think he would have ripped him apart. So, yes, I love seeing that, and it's a throwback to the 60s and the 70s when guys did complete games. And the pitch count, a lot of pitching coaches back then would tell you, once you're in that groove, it's not tough. Watching a pitcher in the 8th, 9th inning, if he's starting to work harder, you know that he's hit his limit and you can take him out. But that was fun to watch the exchange with him and Boone on the mound because you could see Cole
saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way. You're not taking me out.
You watched it. I love it. You know what? And like you're talking about, just such a competitor and a hardworking guy. But this whole pitch count and looking at numbers and constantly evaluating and looking at arm strength and everything, stretching and all this, it's all amazing, okay? And granted, all the technology, all that stuff's amazing. But boy, I mean, the guys, the strong, back when you pitched and all that kind of stuff that threw out there and hit and would go drink have a beer after or whatever it was, there's not a difference. There's not a huge difference in terms of like injuries. In fact, you're seeing more injuries now than you did then statistically. So, it's interesting. I don't know if it's because there's more games or whatever it is, but there's something that to be said from, the old school mentality, the understanding of your own body, the ability to pitch, the strength that you had, living a somewhat, I don't want to say regimented, but normal life. But boy, it's so different now. Like you said, even seeing a guy throw a complete game is like, when do you get to see that? And that used to be something that was exciting. You wanted to see a no-hitter. You wanted to see a guy, go out there and do his thing. You don't anymore. It's another thing that's taken away from the excitement of the game, in my opinion.
And look at us. We're talking about it. When you see it, it's almost like a rarity. It's like something that you don't see quite often. So, you like guys like that. And, Verlander was out of the same cut. Scherzer, you got some of your premium pitchers. DeGrom, there seems to be, they're very cautious with him. Probably the best pitcher in baseball as we speak. But the Mets have been very, very cautious with him, 5-6 innings, especially that he had a little twinge or a little while back.
I can start naming studs. Nolan Ryan. I can start naming guys that were just freaking studs that want to go out and rip your, face off. So it's just different. It's a different game.
Saying that it was Robert Ventura's birthday just a day or two ago, and somebody posted that Robert Ventura on his birthday, they recollected that Robert Ventura was the only guy to be able to get 6 hits off of Nolan Ryan. Unfortunately, they were on his head.
Hey! All right, love it. Oh, that's a good one, Steve. That was a good one. All right, well, have a good rest of the day. Tell your lovely wife, everybody, I said hello. I love catching up with you, and I'm looking forward to celebrating with you guys here August 1st. I think that's going to be great.
It'll be great. It'll be great, and like I said, I'm hoping for quite a few people to come on out because just a local kid made good, So,
I love it. Awesome stuff. All right, thanks, Stevie.
All right, you take care, Michael.
Steve Grilli, ladies and gentlemen, on the New York Yankees show. Syracuse Legends show up on deck. Buddy Boeheim kicking things off. ESPN Radio 97.7 to 100.1.